Oh, that's embarrassing. That broadcast started well in mid-yawn. Sorry, apologies. For that, hi, anyone watching this in the future, you're watching a game that was arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays cool tabletop role-playing games, story games, indie games, OSR games, all that good fun. You can find them at gauntlet-rpg.com. There'll be a link down below. And there's a lot of stuff that happens there. There's like a active blog, very active forums. There's a podcast network with different sorts of from APs to discussion podcasts. There's a monthly zine with cool stuff like supplements to existing games or entirely original games on them. And there is the Hangouts calendar to which this game was arranged. This game in particular is Dream Askew by Avery Alder. It is a game about a queer apocalypse. It gives us ruined buildings, wet tarps, nervous faces in the campfire glow, strange new psychic powers, fierce queer love, and turbulent skies above a fledgling community asking, what do you do next? So it is a post-apocalyptic game about community and coming together to form like a queer enclave, a place to live, sleep, and hopefully heal more than ever before. Each of us is responsible for the survival and fate of our community. So we are kind of like this series. We're kind of like just taking the game and just running with it and see what we come up with. So this first session is going to be mostly like character and world building, and we'll see where we go. But before I kind of get into that, let's kind of meet each other because that's always good to familiarize players with other players, because I'm facilitating this, but this is a GM-less game, so we're all just going to be playing equally. So let's kind of introduce ourselves and pronouns and whatnot. My name's Leandro. I use he, him pronouns. And yeah, I'm excited to see. I played with everyone here before. They're all really great. And can't wait to see what either nonsense or sadness we'll come up with. So I'm gonna call out folks by the order of my screen here. Start with yourself, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, he, him, and I don't know. Was there anything else we were supposed to say? been on the gauntlet for God. How long has it been now? It's been over a year. Might be around a year and a half now.
Fab. And played with yourself before, Brian. Fab. I think it's either Dungeon World or Dialect, the last thing we played. Either way, they were sad. I remember being sad.
I think Dialect was more recent, yeah. And then Dungeon World was the first thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Poor sad kids in a junkyard.
I gotta say, I love the bird sounds.
And now they're gone. So scared them away. All right, up next. Ferret, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Sawyer, also known as Ferret. Don't care what you call me. I use he, him pronouns, but I use the others as well. Don't care what you call me, just call. Next month in the Codex, I will have an Apocalypse World playbook based on the ball and house culture of New York, Harlem, Chicago, called The Mother. So if you want to guard a house full of reprobates in the apocalypse, look for The Mother in Codex Glamour 2, I believe.
Ooh, yeah, look forward to that. That sounds entirely on your brand there, Ferret. And last but not least, Pocket. You can introduce yourself.
Really quick, Ferret, can you suggest any books on like the ballroom culture of New York? Because it's like I stumbled across something like something. It was, I forget the name of the house, but it's a house that existed for like 40 years, and it had like an offshoot in the Netherlands. And we're like, I understand absolutely none of this, and there's not really a lot of good research that I could find on it. So can you suggest anything?
Hit me up after the game. I have researched this a lot.
So that's a yes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Puckett. I use he, him pronouns. I am pretty insatiably curious about everything. I love learning new things, especially if I don't know anything about what I've just learned about. And I'm always on the lookout for the next thing to learn something about.
Fab. Yeah, all right. So again, one more thing to do before we kind of get into the games. We want to talk about the safety tools we have for when we play. We just want to make sure we're playing, in a comfortable environment. That's safety is always kind of the first priority. So in regards to this game, we have lines and veils. Basically, lines are things that won't be crossed. We won't show up in the fiction at all. Like we're just gonna. It's off the table. We're not gonna cross those lines, so to speak. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but we're not going to concentrate on it. It can happen off screen. It can certainly be alluded to, but again, the camera, so to speak, won't focus on it. We also have the X card for this game, which is basically if we ever stumble into a scene where folks are made uncomfortable for whatever reason, whether there's like a name or a situation or anything in particular, you can say you want to X card that, or you want to use the X card, whether through the chat or on screen, or even just message myself. I might ask specifically what's being X carded, but no one gets to question if it's played. If the X card is played, it happens. We're going to respect that. We'll roll back and start over something else, and try something else. And finally, we have the open door policy here, which basically, for whatever reason, people need to step away from the game, from the table, so to speak. Whether there's an emergency, or you're just more tired than thought, or you wanna pee, or like even if the break is just 5 minutes long, feel free to do so at any time, and we will accommodate that request. Okay, so again, we are just gonna like. I didn't put up this game with like any specific like ideas or anything in mind. We are just gonna basically build this world and these characters and just see where we go. So let's go to like the notes tab, and we're gonna build out our enclave, which is basically the community that we are all gonna be in together. And it's also there on the play kit, but if you don't want to have to go through those drop downs, you can just see the big list on the play kit PDF that I have in the folder. And yeah, I think it is just gonna simply like if anything from that list jumps out, just shout them out and talk about what ideas you have. So we have to at least like 3 to 5 visuals on what our enclave looks like. And again, we don't have to define exactly what the apocalypse is except what happened, except that it came in waves. Apocalypse hits some people before others, specifically marginalized people, and that is kind of like the thematic core of Dream Askew. So we don't have to define that exactly, but we can do that while we're picking these visuals. Go on.
I was going to say, I kind of like the idea of an abandoned complex with communal gardens. Like, not necessarily like one of those giant campuses that tech companies have, but like some kind of semi-collapsed, multi-story concrete structure, maybe an office building in a smaller town, a town with a population of like, 50 to 100,000 people or something like that. And it fell apart. And as the people who could move towards safety, we kind of inherited the rubble.
Could I maybe add a bit to that, Puckett, or like give sort of what it made me think of to build on it?
Of course.
Like maybe it was a skyscraper of some kind, very glass, very modern, but there was an earthquake or whatever, the apocalypse happened, some of it collapsed. Like it was samurai cut. It's like we can go up to like there's a roof now, but depending on where the sun hits the building, different things are grown in the rooms.
So like
that's really good for the garden. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's a diagonal. It's like it's a way the building is cut in a weird angle. So in like some rooms, there's like specific rooms that would be better for gardens, depending on where the sun hits. Okay.
So when you say skyscraper, how many stories are you thinking?
I think like it's been cut down to like at most there are only 10 floors, like the 11th being the open air garden.
Okay. So what do you think it started as? I mean, because the size of the building kind of, you're not going to have a 30-story skyscraper in, say, Peoria. You know what I mean?
like I'm thinking like this was like if we were in a smaller city, like say oh I
Duluth?
just yeah, like maybe like it was like the Wells Fargo building for lack of better term, like a bank
Okay.
building, and it's just been repurposed. Or like if we're like if we are in like Nashville or Miami, it was just one of like the phone companies thing, the internet companies built. It was a place for commerce. Now it is a place for work, or feeding people.
Should we maybe take a step back and figure out what sort of geographic location we want this to occur in? Because when I was going through the Dream Askew stuff, it pointed out that enclaves of wealth and privilege would have, the apocalypse is not evenly distributed.
Yeah.
Much in the way that the future is not evenly distributed.
Ooh, I love that picture, Brian.
So, do we want to maybe figure out the area?
As long as it's not swampy, because my last Dream Askew game was very swampy, I'm fine. Like, I live in the buckle belt of the South, of the Bible Belt, so like I know the odd temperate regions, but I can do like maybe or like if we want to go like more I kind of like the idea of a West Coast one, because like there's that idea like if an earthquake hit, like California would break off, or like it would leave certain things like that, and maybe we grow things here very controlled because there is limited water or potable water.
I grew up in SoCal, so I know the terrain really well.
Sweet.
Yeah, so like an arid, like sort of landscape.
Well, it depends on which part of SoCal.
Yeah.
In San Diego County, I think there was something. It was something ridiculous, like 17 separate biomes. I mean, San Diego County had coastal regions, had desert, had various mountain climbs. There was like area, like the farther up you didn't really get taiga per se, but you could get like really arid mountain desert environments.
Yeah, I like that. Like this commune, like brings people together who know how to survive in these different environments. So when we do go out, like there is like one of the things I might want to add is like knowledge or of the like knowledge or survivalist like tactics. Like like if you're from that area of SoCal, like yeah, I know how to survive in the taiga. Can't do much on the coastal regions. Can't fish, but I could. Yeah,
I've got an idea. And it's a suggestion of a real place. If that's too much, let me know. But since people are kind of talking about arid desert regions, near Palm Springs, there is a hike. There's like a regional trail hiking system called Palm Canyon, which has natural springs. And it's pretty far back in this canyon, so it just looks like desert at the edge. And you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper back in until you get to the springs, and then it's almost like an oasis.
Ooh. I like that.
I mean, there's palm trees, there's date palms, there's shade. It's you get far enough back in there, it's interesting. But if you don't know it's there, you wouldn't even look twice at it. So it's got kind of an element of concealment.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of it right now. It's a wild landscape.
And it's near Palm Springs, which is kind of a center of queer culture in California. I mean, the Dinah Shore that goes on out there is basically. There's like the Dinah Shore golf tournament is basically just an excuse for like a week-long lesbian party. They have white parties out there. I had to be out there once on a job, and friend of mine and I went into this bar called Backstreets, and I was young and kind of idiot and didn't know what I was looking at. But this place had lace curtains, and I looked at the jukebox, and the jukebox is filled with Erasure and the Pet Shop Boys, and I'm like, oh my God, the jukebox is great. And then next thing I know, a guy down the bar sends me a drink, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Would you call this reclaimed green space then?
It's not necessarily reclaimed green space in the sense that there wouldn't be a lot of reclamation necessary.
Like we've claimed it.
Like, I mean, that could work. I mean, it's like the communal gardens would basically have to be probably things like mushrooms that we just like shove under things and whatnot. So it wouldn't quite be like the gardens on various levels of a skyscraper. But on the
I'm
other hand,
talking
it's
about the
also
oasis you know of, the reclaimed green space.
Yeah. And think of it like Helm's Deep, but it's an oasis, if that makes sense.
I like that use.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Puckett and I have been really inspired. Brian, is there anything of this list that really strikes out at you? Also, your icon on Google Plus gives me life.
Mine does. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know what it
kitties.
is. Oh, that's the two cats. Yeah, they're not as cute these days. They're big and fat now, but
Fat
they're
cats are the best
They're
cats.
right. Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff we've picked a real place. So that kind of like.
Well, the apocalypse happened, so it could have changed things up.
It could have changed a lot. Yeah.
And I'm not saying we have to pick it. I'm just saying it would be an interesting place to set it.
Yeah, and we're not necessarily there. We could just be a place inspired by that location. It doesn't have to be an actual. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of okay with anything. I wouldn't mind outdoor kitchens along with our communal gardens. That sounds nice. Something about that appeals to me.
Be kind of easy to do in a desert setting. I mean, you'd have to deal with a little bit of sand, but it's not like you'd have bugs and things flying into it as much. I think one thing I would like to see is, and this may be a little too granular, I'd like to see the food that we make in the camp really heavily influenced by the setting. So like if we're talking about keeping it in that kind of canyon desert thing, there's like a lot of dates, a lot of figs, a lot of desiccated fruits and things like that. Maybe we actually do eat insects and things. You know, maybe we use cactuses as, you know, for hydration sources. If it were in a swampier setting, which it won't be, you know, maybe gators are the food source and whatnot.
That's worth noting down anyway. The similitude of it keeps us in that mind frame.
And depending on where we're near, like there could be bird hunters, like who like climb the nests for eggs in certain seasons, and like carefully hunt birds so they don't all die out
sustainably.
Yeah.
Or maybe we managed to scavenge some chickens or something like that, and you know, we tended the flock for a while, and you know, kill off roosters for meat, and you know, try to make sure that we are constantly growing the flock of chickens.
One of the things that I saw that I really liked are eerie warning signs. Maybe the apocalypse was like maybe for a while. How would this work out? Like maybe we've put up warning signs or tags, gang signs, like, you know, warning people away from the oasis, warning people away from our stuff.
Like it's irradiated their skulls.
Yeah, like, you know, like we have like the homeless people's kind of writing. Like you'd like inscribe on a mailbox, the person here will give you food, the person here will shoot homeless people, kind of stuff. But like, we leave a like a chicken skull with 3 feathers for like this source is irradiated, or we leave like a certain cacti growing, like this place is fine to go down.
So kind of like signposts and sigils.
Yes.
Yeah. Note all that down there.
I will.
So, are we sticking with the abandoned complex we talked about, or are we changing it up since we're now in like?
I think we're changing that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay with whatever.
I mean, if we're not explicitly in Palm Canyon, but a place inspired by it, then again, there won't be. It would be weird to have a skyscraper there.
Okay, so instead of an abandoned complex, maybe that's where we just put the community gardens. Since we wanted... yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and shanties and tents would be an option there. Although honestly, I think it'd be more interesting if the kind of architectural style was more like nomadic desert tribes, since if we're talking about an arid environment, I mean, that's really what you want to do. I mean, you want to have tarps out so that it can collect like the dew that accumulates overnight, and you've got a water source. And it also presents an interesting survival challenge in that hot as hell during the day, cold as hell during the night. Deserts get cold as fuck in the night, and it's not something necessarily people think of.
So let's see. Let me boost that down there. Okay. Yeah, like I'm assuming, like part of how this communities get together is they kind of like trying to solve those kind of problems. How would you represent that in the visuals, though? Like,
I kind of like urban squalor in a way. Like there are still some homes, some trailer parks, some like not exactly like we're kind of squatting. Like there may not be electricity, or like you may need a generator for electricity. We may not have running water, but like we still use these places. And like toilets are made for wine making now with the fruit we have. You can get all the fig and date toilet wine you want, but use the bathroom outside.
Yeah, well, as more of these places kind of break down, we are slowly transitioning towards that more tribe sort of nomadic existence.
And there's a couple of communities around Palm Canyon, and they were all desert communities. Weirdly enough, they all had golf courses. Borrego Springs isn't too far away. Palm Springs isn't too far away. Palm Springs actually had a lot of Neutra houses, so that could be kind of interesting in a post-apocalyptic setting. The Salton Sea, relatively speaking, isn't too far away. And I mean, if ever a place was the sign of an apocalypse that hit America, it's the Salton Sea. I mean, that place is nothing but rundown, decaying, abandoned buildings. There's there are people who still live there, but when you try to walk on what used to be something like a beach, it's all fish skeletons. And I wish I were kidding. There's an amazing documentary that John Waters narrated about it, and it's just that's post-apocalyptic America right there. But it seems like these communities after the apocalypse. Well, I mean, Salton Sea is already there, but after an apocalypse occurred, those communities might serve as like kind of decent places for, say, establishing trading posts or outposts or meeting spaces to deal with members of the world that remains. and so on. So we're not giving away our actual location, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we'll define places like that, like other communities in like the world, and even like maybe a bit in the conflicts, as in what we're interested in focusing. Because I mean, I'm looking at pictures of Salton Sea right now. It's a terrible looking place.
And it used to be a resort. Can you believe that? I mean, I remember my uncle and I were out there one time, and we found an abandoned hotel that had just been gutted. It was half flooded, and we just basically rampaged through this hotel for I don't know, 2 or 3 hours. Like wallpaper peeling off the walls, like all the mattresses were moldy. I mean, it was like everything had been left where it was. Nothing was pulled out, and it was all decaying and rotting and falling apart. And it was amazing. But
so, do you want to bring that kind of imagery to the enclave itself, or is that more like just a general feeling of the apocalypse around
well,
the enclave?
I want to play a Stitcher, so I would like to believe that I'm going to be doing a better job of trying to keep things together than that. But
Like, because the imagery you're kind of talking, it goes with the urban sprawl thing that Sawyer was talking about. I just want to like just firm up what our enclave is so we can
move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's I'll go through the visuals we pick. So we've got these community gardens, places where things that don't grow out in the wild, or where the things that don't grow in the wild are the oasis cultivated. So yeah, the oasis itself is our reclaimed green space, lovely outdoor kitchens, and yeah, signposts, sigils used to signpost out various things. I do like this food coming from the desert setting. Yeah, we can have one more visual, but if folks are fine with that, or if anyone has any more ideas they want to pick out from that list, I see you go up there, Ferret.
I feel like I've already picked a lot. Brian,
I want the. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Brian. I've picked 2. Puckett sort of picked 2. Or Leandro. I mean, you're facilitating. You're in this game with us too.
there is that.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm fine with this. We don't have to pick 5. Like,
We could pick 6.
we could. Why is there an extra is there a tab for a 6th one? That's terrifying. That's a lot of power. Let's see. Let me look at this list and see if there's anything. Might as well. Sure, why not?
I love that the 6th visual is ferrets. That's amazing.
Are they? Wait, are ferrets? Would they be found in this biome, or do we
actually? Ferrets are not. Except for the black-footed ferrets in America, ferrets are a completely man-created creation from the weasel and the mink to replace the need for cats to hunt mice, because cats were seen as witches, familiars, and evil in Europe. And this way, they were like the noble woman's pet because they were pretty, they were graceful, and they killed the rats that might enter her room.
Well, and in all honesty, as much as I love mice, they're adorable, but this is an environment. There are desert mice, there are kangaroo rats, there's all sorts of rodent creatures who will like get into the food stuff. So having some sort of predatory, foodstuffs protection system is not the worst idea.
Ooh, maybe just domestic animals. Like we literally have like mousing dogs and mousing cats.
just gonna note that there. Domestic animals, desert mice. Is that what does synanthropes mean?
That means animals that live off of humanity, like raccoons living off our trash, rats living off our scraps, leeches and ticks living off our blood.
Huh.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, sure. Let's have them on. Okay, so we've got a good idea. We've got a good idea then of our enclave. We don't need to give it a name. Names for group places are hard, but we'll think about that. Farrad, if you want to add stuff about synanthropes, about those sort of domestic animals in the
Sure
notes,
thing.
do so. But yeah, and then we don't have to draw a map. Well, yeah, we don't have to. Let's just go through the 3 things that are in conflict in the enclave.
I would like to have barriers to access be one of them.
Ooh. Care to elaborate?
And I'm thinking specifically of barriers to access. Like, it's not an accessible community for people with disabilities. It's hard to get to. It's hard to live in. It's not really welcoming if you have a physically disabling condition. I mean, it's like the people are welcoming. It's just the spaces themselves are not necessarily set up in a way that provides any kind of ease of access for people with physical disabilities, if that makes sense. But
Wait a second. You want there to be it hard for people with physical disabilities?
I'm saying that this is one of the conflicts I would like to explore in the game, is like the accessibility issues that people don't think about because they don't have to, because it doesn't prevent them from accessing the space.
Ooh, thank you. Then that seals what I'm going to go for the Iris, because the person I was picking for the Iris is in a wheelchair.
And my Stitcher has a workshop because that's the only place that they can really go to. So they're kind of stuck in one place because of these barriers to access.
I think your workshop needs to be accessible, like not totally accessible, but I think if you're only limited to your workshop, you may miss some things. But maybe it's just harder for you to get around.
Yeah, and it's a lot of what goes on in the workshop is coming up with accessibility accommodations.
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot.
Okay. All right, so that's one conflict we can have.
So I'm
Brian,
going Iris then.
Okay, cool. Brian, you have
Brian, you said you didn't want to. You said you didn't want to play Iris.
Shit, you said you didn't want to play Torch.
The Torch.
Okay. And this is why I asked about the Stitcher straight off, because when I saw the Stitcher and the whole workshop thing, I just thought, my heart.
All right, so that's kind of one of the conflicts we'll be exploring here. Brian, do you have anything you want to explore from that list of conflicts?
I'm thinking maybe party culture, and I'm wondering if essentially how much of the production of these community gardens gets fermented. Is it called? I could see people disagreeing about the.
Yeah, so oh, go on, Farrad. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. I thought I heard something. That might just be the birds. Yeah, so it's kind of like, in a sense, because this enclave is a bit ways away from everyone else, there's a chance that people can let their hair down.
They don't have to be quite as on guard as much.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about that. Yeah, I mean, I was just picturing it as I think for fermenting and alcohol might be an important part of the community, but then that can also go to excess, and if the food production, too much of it is going towards that, then like that's people who the community could be feeding instead. It just seems like I don't know, just lots of room for
Dispute.
dispute people on both sides.
So are you thinking that are you thinking that there would be a purpose behind the party culture? Like, is it people just trying to get out of their skulls and not think about the apocalypse, or people trying to celebrate this place they found and feel safe-ish, or something else?
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it can be community growing and bonding. There's plenty of positive aspects to it, and celebrating this what they
Would
have
it be
together.
part of any kind of ritual thing, or like once a month you do this, or
There
like,
could be different types of like maybe where the parties are held or by whom set the standard of the party. Like if we're at the Oasis, we're celebrating that we have food, that we have fun, that we're having a good time. If we're partying in the kitchens, it's because there's a grand cook-off. If we're partying in someone's home, it's because you've been invited and you're special.
Yeah, I think that and also just I think sharing resources is probably really important for everyone to survive.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to have their ups and downs, and these parties are kind of the way that gets done.
I was looking at it like, is there a ritualistic aspect to these parties? Is this cultural? Is this a burgeoning religion? Is this just people saying, fuck it, the world's a shit fire and I'm going to get out of my head? Or all of the above, or a combination?
My parties will probably be somewhat religious, or at least, if not religious, at least like ritualistic.
Yeah, I get the feeling that because party culture can mean so much, that means there's like differing opinions or definitions on what maybe some people just want to party because they want to let their hair down. Maybe some people see this as a way to to trade norms with other people. Maybe this is a way of establishing new norms. Either way, what party culture like to me suggests is that there is a culture in just trying to enjoy oneself or enjoy just being alive.
Tossing it out there again, Palm Springs has had far more than its share of circuit parties over the years. So it is very much a party town for queer culture. So I mean, it's considering we're talking about something that's, if we're still kind of sitting in that area, that culture would likely carry over and maybe evolve and morph and change, but I don't think it would go away.
No, yeah, it won't go easily. It won't easily go away. All right, down for party culture. Anyone else? I might have a vague idea. It's clearly vague, but if anyone else has an idea of what the other would be, go ahead.
I don't necessarily want the game to be too serious, but at the same time, it is the end of the world. So, I mean, I'm kind of looking at stuff like known abusers or trauma or the use of violence. Like the stuff that you need to address if you're trying to create and sustain a culture or a civilization or some kind of communal living arrangement. I mean, do you deal with the broken steps, or do you just let them be broken steps? Do you tell them, you're going to get right with us, or do you just say, get the fuck out?
Honestly, I might put a line on known abusers. I'm not in a mindset to be wanting to deal with that at the moment.
Okay, totally understand. Fair.
I would like Politics of the Void because I want to touch on the psychic maelstrom, and this might be a certain like do your headaches mean something? Do they tell the weather, or are you just hurting? This maelstrom is new. How do we deal with it seeping into our society? Like, I don't know. It's so esoteric. I'm not quite sure how to put my finger on it, but I sort of like it.
Okay, so this is interesting to me because, like, I've been just feeling like absolute hell for the past few weeks physically, and sometimes there's rain coming, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it feels like my body is a weather vane. The other times it just feels like a dumpster fire. So that actually opens up a lot of really interesting questions about disabling conditions and how people cope with them and whether they find meaning in them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I was sort of going with my Iris as like what he does, what they do by using their powers is giving up like more and more control over their body to the psychic maelstrom. Like, they start like they may to use their power may have to give up like a nerve in their pinky, but for more power they may have to give up like the feeling in a foot.
And is this something that that is known, do you think?
I think it is known because when the apocalypse started, my guy was like fully mobile, and now he's in a wheelchair. And I'm thinking
so it takes a physical toll.
Yeah, because
like any permanent toll.
One of the powers I was thinking is absolution, which I was going to flavor as old style sin eating. Like he takes your trauma on himself, which literally weighs down his body.
Man. Yeah, I'm down for because there's a psychic maelstrom. It definitely should reorder our ideas of what it needs to have that sort of power. I'm down for that. If everyone else is,
I mean, I'd kind of like at this point Brian, take a look at this stuff. I mean, I feel like Ferret and I have been kind of just like ping-ponging ideas off of each other, and
for me, don't worry about that, because for me, unless it's a game explicitly about world building, I always let others take the lead on that.
Well, you've also been saying, I'm good, go ahead. Brian's been kind of quiet. I want to make sure Brian's got, I want to make sure this is working for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm enjoying all of this, so yeah, I'm fine.
I know I'm sort of an Apocalypse World Monster Hearts world builder. It's like I need to come up with a setting skeleton for everyone else to build on, but I need to make it something first.
I'll get my moments in. I'll make you wait for them, and okay, I'll contribute. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. Let me look at the time.
Now here's a question.
Go ahead.
What role will women's wrestling play in this?
No one's gonna stop you.
I can't. That's the game I ran for Puckett before, women's wrestling. But
ladies all world wrestling. Thank you. Law.
Yes, law. But
oh God! Now I'm thinking, what if there was like a cadre of female luchadors that protected the enclave?
Well, now should I be a tiger? And I'm
like, now I want to be a tiger again. Screw guns. We have masks and muscles.
We've got Tope Suicidas and Hurricane Ranas.
True to treat. Well, maybe you should take outlying gangs then, Ferret, and you should introduce those.
Well, I know that the world aspects switch, and like for the last the game I was in before, I made the goddess cults off of a southern style, like the good Christian out. Like the way I posit the
Oh, like the
South
Grand
is you have to
Matriarch?
do in a way like the way I posit the South is like you have to do age, race, and sexual orientation, and religion. They always ask the religion aspect in it, but I actually, it turned out that Bethany's Iris was seen as a goddess for these goddess cults, which caused a lot of problems for us.
Of course they did. All right. Okay. Let's see. What time is it? I still got a few minutes. I just want to like firm up like specifically playbook choices. I know the two of yourself have already picked one. Brian, have you? Well, I mean specifically the individual playbooks, not yet the world aspects. Oh, sorry, I'm confusing the chat with talking to me. Oops. Yeah. So yeah, I know two folks have picked their playbooks. Brian, have you had the idea of which one to pick?
I think I will go Tiger.
All right. And I think I'll go Arrival then. So probably someone who heard, oh man, there's this party oasis out there, and I'm sure it's worth getting there. Well, that's a very vague idea, actually. Not much an idea. Okay. You know what? We've been here for nearly an hour. We're kind of like we built up our world anyway, and then let's take like good 6 minutes, just like a quick 6 minute break before we kind of like
Jump into the rest of it.
yeah, well, we still have to pick like aspects of the world to play, but since we're nearly an hour, I always like taking breaks near the hour, so let's say 6 minutes. Let's do it now.
All right.
Be back at 40 past the hour. So BRB. What is that?
That is my cat hat.
Okay. Fair enough. Like, I don't know what to answer to that.
It's
I
cute.
believe this is just a smile and nod moment. It's like that is very much a cat hat with cute eyes. I mean, why is he wearing it? Well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I wasn't questioning the
Oh, I was thinking more on the politics of the Void, but I think like
Huh?
some of the newer generation people can access the Void's power without it taking a toll on their body. So there might be a bit of a schism between those who can't and those who can.
Would there also be, and I like where you're going with that, but that would also suggest that there might be some sort of resentment from the younger generation toward the older generation, because when the older generation accessed the Void, it took a physical toll, and now the people who did it back then require more resources from the community to sustain them. And there might
Ooh,
be some resentment along those lines.
that's good. That's real good. I've already created the NPC, well, named one of them from my Iris list, and used Lena Headey from the Dread movie.
Oh, I see.
She was in a movie with Piper Perabo. I don't remember the name of it.
Piper Perabo, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
She's Lena Headey is a great actress.
Yes, she is. And this is back when it seemed like every movie that Piper Perabo did, she was playing like a straight woman who hadn't figured out that she was queer, or a queer girl who didn't care who knew she was queer. Like, what was that boarding school movie that Piper did? I just remember that line, something about raptors, but I don't remember what it was. It was a running, like, in our household. It's like anytime somebody did anything, that line popped up. It's going back like 20 years though. Yeah. Lena Headey. I'm glad she's had a job for the last 8 years. I just don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah. At least she's had steady work.
Yeah, gainfully employed.
Yeah, gainfully employed. Yeah.
I don't know. She was like punching the clock at a 7-Eleven or something like that.
Yeah, shame that job has to end soon. Keep talking, because I still need to figure out some things to pick about this character, and the two of you got it figured out.
Oh, wait a minute.
What's up?
That's Lena Headey from the Dread movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I when you said Dread, I thought you were talking about DREAD, the game, and I'm like, my brain's not working real well today. Sorry about that. Oh my god, Dread. That is a wildly underrated movie.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Oh my god,
should have been much more successful than it was.
Okay, so I think the reasons it weren't is because, one, it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was really weird. Two, it was basically a bottle episode, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, anybody who's seen The Raid knows how successful a bottle episode can be in a movie. But it was weird, like really weird, like hallucinogenic drugs that just really, really, really mess you up weird, and like it. But it was so good. I mean, it's.
And to be fair, the first Judge Dredd movie probably scared a lot of people off from this one.
Look, in this house, the first Dredd movie does not exist. There is only the one with Carl Urban.
Is that like a tenet of this enclave? What first Dread movie?
Well, I was going to use that Lena Headey picture as my hawker, and what I was originally thinking of was like having nostalgia and comic books as 2 of my 3 gigs.
Ooh.
because I like scarred faces, but I don't like taking advantage of people with actual facial scars. It's like, let's look up SFX. Like, I completely forgot about Mama from Dread. Yes, you're perfect, and you're smiling here.
Balor? Seriously, Ferret?
Balor.
Okay.
Balor, yeah, sure. Right.
And with his his weird pain eater Gyrona, and or Gyro, I like Gyre.
Well,
So, I mean, is Balor going to have anyone else around him?
Yeah, Gyrona is with him, and I think he stays in the ramshackle house of the old House Heartache with the legendary drag mama Maximum Heartache.
actually, yeah, while we're kind of firming up the other cards, why don't you just introduce, like, Balor?
Oh,
full
okay,
stop.
let me get to
It sounds like
his...
he's got a little bit of a club around him.
Interesting. I am playing Balor. The gender is void, which I have written nothing is everything. I'm sort of playing off the desexualization of disabled and older individuals with him. So I think like he's considered void because he's not been desired for so long, at least as he wants to be desired. And gender-wise, it is whatever meh, like Puckett's character, whatever anyone calls them, they will answer to. I'm using a disfigured frame, but sort of like, as we say, like the more void he uses, the more void that enters their body, the more they can't move. And as I wrote for that, I don't sit for the luxury, you know. Arresting eyes with just I know as the descriptor. Formal attire looks good, feels good. And a slender weapon carefully concealed. If you click on the link, you will see like a handle on his wheel that is supposed to be like how you move the wheelchair, but that handle detaches and has a chain attached to it that he uses quite adeptly. My psychic gifts are absolution. I can take away your pain and take away its harm from you and make you feel better about it. And unearthing, I unearth water, seeds, meat, and secrets. The psychic maelstrom told me that it needed me for a higher purpose. And my relationships are the weird eater I created, Gyrona, the scarred witness, and the slowly dying drag mama whose pain I ease, Maximum Heartache, the last member of House Heartache.
All right, that sounds fab. Pocket, do you want to introduce your character, or is there anything else you need to like answer first?
Let's see. Do I have everything? Third. There's moves. Play to find out. Okay. I think I'm actually more or less kind of settled on it. So my character's name is Sash or Sash or whatever, however somebody wants to pronounce it. I don't really much care about how you pronounce the A. I answer to the pronouns of whatever someone addressing me or speaking about me sees, because it reflects more about, it says more about what they are and who they are than it does about me. So I'm kind of a mirror in a sense. My gender is Raven. I haven't quite figured out what that means yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out along the way. My eyes are modified in the sense that I have permanently affixed sunglasses or something like it to block out it, to kind of like to shield my eyes from light, to head off headaches. I use gloves for gripping things. My grip is not always the strongest, so it helps maintain a little bit more a contact with whatever I happen to be working on or fixing. I am dressed in scrounged clothing that I have found here and there and repaired. And I have pockets everywhere because you never know when you're going to need a pocket or need to put something into a pocket. Pockets are good. We know this. I mean, just look at Marvel Comics in the 90s. Everybody had pockets. My workshop functions are recycling and body upkeep. I get my supplies from, well, since I can't get out of my workshop much due to my physical disabilities, people bring me stuff. And I take a look at it and I either fix it or disassemble it and build something else or repurpose it, take something that it was and turn it into something that it is. There's a ghost who haunts my workplace, and I am involved with a terminally ill person. Haven't quite worked out all those deals yet, or all the details yet, but I'm sure they'll emerge.
Fab. I'm looking forward to seeing those emerge from the dream we kind of get into. Brian, what about yourself? When introducing your character?
My character is the tiger, Aadita. She, her. And I went ahead with a little bit with the wrestler suggestion. So she's got a masked face and neon hair, and a velour outfit, huge jacked arms. Her gender is hard femme. The gang, I was having trouble. I guess I'm just gonna have to settle on whatever I picked. We are a bicycle gang. So I imagine gasoline is maybe hard to come by. So it's actually kind of the quickest way to get around. And we're carrying rusty pipes and chains. Apparently the enclave is not entirely on board with our vision. And I've got a second in command who thinks they should be in charge, and I've got a sibling who's bloodthirsty.
Okay. All right. Interesting. We'll probably get more into why the enclave isn't on board with your vision, what your vision is. We'll play to find out. But if you want to add notes, that goes for everyone as well. If you want to add notes on those specific things, spaces are there. Let's see. I guess I'll talk about my character. Her name is Blooming. Uses she, they pronouns. She's the arrival. I mean, she's new to the place. Came from, most likely was going to be the society intact. So just go to her list. Her gender is woman. She has a tired frame, gloved hands, rumpled suits, and long sleeves. I'm kind of imagining her as and this kind of goes into what brought how I knew that enclave existed, is that she's kind of dressed as if she is perpetually on a wedding party reception that's gone on for a bit too long. So it's like she's dressed for a formal gathering, but then it got a bit out of hand. So that's why her suits are all rumpled and careless looking. Is because we'll get to that when the reason why how she knew the enclave existed. She brought with her a phone that still got service and some photo albums because she's sentimental and very much likes looking back at things, especially now that she's kind of fully broken up from where she's from and ended up in this enclave. And how did she know the enclave existed? Where she used to come here for the parties. That's kind of the main reason why she's scary, because it seems like it's a nice place of an explosion of, not explosion of excess as we've discussed, but that's what it seems like to her. It's a place to fall out of the world, so to speak. and she's kind of here, not so much running away from someone. It's more like deliberately trying to fall out and end up someplace else. And her key relationships are the gentle soul who invited me to share their bed. Oh, that's cute. And there's also the spouse I left behind, which again will determine will determine how that works out in play. I'm kind of like the idea of fleshing out as NPCs, and we're not gonna assign them to anyone until like they come on screen and like, okay, who wants to play X and Y? We'll see. We'll get to that. Yeah. I think those are all the characters. Let's kind of go through the questions we have to ask to each other. Let's go back to the top of the character keeper, Balor. Balor. Oh, God. You have to choose that name, knowing where I live.
Hey, there are not many famous people with disabilities or famous myths with disabilities that aren't like. I'm not going Greek.
True. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. It's just that WWE were here last week, so that's on my mind.
Oh shush.
So
Well, I would say, oh shush, but I've got to ask you my question.
I mean, if you're gonna pick a WWE superstar to take the name from, I mean, at least you're picking the one who says Baylor Club is for everyone. Of
True.
Balor.
Yes. Yeah. You're picking one of the good ones.
So blooming. How have I unsettled you in recent days?
In recent days, I mean, one would say there isn't a day where you don't unsettle me, because I came here to have basically to basically enjoy myself, and the politics of the void kind of washes over me. I think. Ooh, what do you usually do these days? Like, what's kind of like the day to day battle does?
My day to day is sort of like checking on people. I think I am the at least one of the mouthpieces for like the elders that are void touched, if not like sort of like a mayor or a governor kind of figure. So I could have been like picking your brain on what you think of the void politics, like sort of like dragging you deeper into the politics than since you came for just the parties.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the double effect of not having dealt with psychic stuff, and I think that's it. That's just the first time she's kind of felt like someone who has like a deeper connection with a psychic maelstrom, just like sliding into her brain, so to speak, and it's creepy. Don't like that. I came here to have fun. You're not fun. You pick on people's brains.
Is my answer good for you? Feeling the psychic maelstrom and getting deep into her brain?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. Sash, your question.
So we're asking it to the left, correct?
Yeah, the left of the character keeper.
All right. So Ferret, what broken thing do you have that I could fix?
My hope.
I figured you were probably going to say something like a person or whatnot. So
I think that your ability to give people like me mobility, freedom, and like a new lease on life, like you enkindle in me the feeling that this place is worth saving. You're the reason that at least I give, that I don't roll out into the oasis and never come back. So I think like you're right. So my hope isn't broken. That's not good enough. So,
but it sounds like what you're saying is that it kind of, I can repair your hope by repairing and maintaining the things that give you mobility and access to a broader section of the world than you had.
yes, I think like yeah, maybe you're working on something that'll allow me better movement than just my wheelchair.
All right.
Or if you want like or if you want like a physical thing, my body, like you can take out the whatever the void death. I mean, if that's fine, if my hope is fine, that's fine.
So what I've written down is your hope, usually by repairing and maintaining your accessibility devices, but I have an idea for something better.
That's nebulous enough. I like it.
Yeah, maybe it's an exoskeleton, maybe it's some kind of neuropathic treatment. Who knows?
Ooh, I like.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm going to repurpose some cactus needles into some sort of acupuncture treatment for you.
All right. So, Aadita, ask your question.
Yeah, Sash, what have you recently contributed to the cause?
Is there a particular cause we're talking about? Is it the community? Is it your organization is it your gang or?
I mean, it could be the community, but it would have to be as it relates to Aadita's job in the community. So the defense of the community, or it could be to the gang.
I think what I have contributed to your cause for defending the community and protecting it is a variety of new bladed weapons that have been scavenged and upcycled from, say, car parts and whatnot. So I've been hammering away at springs and coils and forging new blades to give you greater access, to give you greater mobility, greater flexibility with how you use the weapons. I'm not entirely comfortable with making these weapons because usually my job, as I see it, is to preserve things, to maintain things, and to improve upon them. And generally speaking, weapons, in my experience, have not improved upon much. But I do recognize that you fulfill a vital role in the community. And even though it kind of goes against what I think my job is, I'm supporting you in what you see your job as.
Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Then my question to you from Blooming to Aadita. Why do you wish I had never arrived? Look at my camera there. I just noticed the emoji pillow in my background. I should get rid of that. That's creepy.
Why do I wish you'd never arrived? Well, you used to come out here in the past, so maybe you stirred up some trouble last time.
Yeah, I think
I think the spouse you left behind, when you came before, you left with them. So maybe they were they'd be a member of my gang now if you hadn't taken them, and then now you came back without them. Does that sound good? Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Yeah, I'm down for that. I kind of imagine this character as a bit of a douche canoe anyway. That seems fairly.
So yeah, that you're back and you didn't bring them back with you. Yeah, it's like you're not the one of the two of you I wanted back here.
Note that down. right. That means I need to give them a name and stuff. Okay, cool. All right, so I think that's kind of it for like just the character generation, whatnot. Let's go to the aspects of the world. Who should we do the? You know what? Yeah, let's do the thing we're meant to do. We just kind of read out each kind of like that paragraph blurb. Find in the play kit, and so we kind of like everyone gets a sense of what they are. So I know for myself, I have no idea which one I'd play. I know there are like some specific ones probably should be picked up because of some playbook choices, but let's kind of I want to read out like each paragraph and go through them, and so that means it's like going through the other character keeper, we'll read out like what it is and also what the paragraph is. So starting with yourself, Balor, with varied scarcities. All right, I'll give you a sec. Actually, let me turn on the lights here. You can tell the day is dying over here. Here be for like 1 second.
There's no postal service, no municipal waste treatment, no reservoir operations manager to treat your water, no ecological impact survey team, no police, no road maintenance crew, and that means no refrigerated trucks hauling groceries into the area. No signal in the cell towers most days. The people who used to think about this stuff so you didn't have to, they're gone now.
God, it sucks. Sash, read us the bit about the psychic maelstrom.
2 moments as I scroll down. Close your eyes, open your brain. Something is wrong with the world. That something is the psychic maelstrom. It's just beyond our everyday perception, ever present and howling. It can offer guidance, protection, even flashes of brilliant inspiration. But it's hungry and nobody knows what will satisfy its appetite.
Nice. Aadita, tell us about the society intact.
For some reason, we thought the collapse was going to hit everybody at the same time. But nothing happens like that. Neatly, evenly. Civilization crumbles in waves, eroding the peripheries of good society. Apocalypse is only a distant nightmare for the privileged, a cautionary tale about what might happen to them if they should fall from the master's arms. You'd be surprised what one of those people would do to keep their society intact.
All right. I'll read the digital realm. Everything we've ever known or said was embedded somewhere inside it. Even though the digital realm was young, it was hard to remember back to the way life was without it. It seemed as permanent as it was pervasive. Apocalypse pulled the digital realm to pieces. Networks fell into disconnect, satellites blinked out, computers were ripped apart and stripped of their precious metal content. But humans are wily and resourceful. They know how to salvage, repurpose, and rebuild. Maybe the digital realm still has a future. And we wrap around back to Balor with the outlying gangs.
People had wildly differing ideas about what the collapse of law and order meant for their future. Some shuffled the mortal coil at the first sign of real danger. Others took to the hills, equipped with water purifiers and dried goji berries. But some people stayed right where they were, armed and alert, ready to carve out an empire by whatever means necessary. Stop whatever you're doing. Crane your neck just a tiny bit. You can probably hear their roaring in the distance.
It's terrifying. And Sash, tell us about the Earth itself.
We built a new world upon its back, glass and steel stacked toward the heavens. We learned how to pull electricity out of every natural element, to mechanize, to automate. Some of us went whole days forgetting that anything existed outside our edifice, We wounded the earth. We alienated ourselves from its touch and its harmonies. We broke holes in the sky. When it tried to warn us, we didn't listen. What now? Will apocalypse cement that alienation for eternity, or finally bring us home?
All right. So, anyone have any interest in any of those?
I didn't get to play the outlying gangs much last time because I was the Tiger. Do you mind if I take that up?
I wouldn't mind if everyone else is fine with that. Cool. What about yourselves, Brian or Puckett?
I was going to say scarcities. I mean, I'm kind of used to taking on necessity is the mother of invention type stuff. Hacking the world, as it were, just to make things more usable and whatnot. So,
okay. Oh yeah. Also, yeah. Pick two desires. They're kind of like whenever you quote unquote GM that bit, that's kind of like what we're gonna concentrate on. At least when you're controlling that aspect. What about yourself, Brian? You have anyone you're interested in?
unless, Brian, if you want to take varied scarcities,
No, that's fine. And they end up getting shuffled around anyway, so. I feel like I would take either the Maelstrom or Earth.
I was thinking myself the Maelstrom. So if you want to take Earth?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So put our names there. I will hide the stuff that's not picked. And yeah, pick your desires for those aspects you're playing. Wait.
now, what does pick up when and give away when mean in the context of the game?
So if your character's doing one of those things, someone else you have to put it down so that someone else can play it, because you can't play both sides of what's going on.
Okay, gotcha.
Like, for example, if Balor is looking into the Psychic Maelstrom, I can't play the Psychic Maelstrom and Balor.
So when Sash is trying to find something and doesn't immediately know where to get it, that means, for example, Brian might pick up varied scarcities.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Actually, we can probably keep these other two here. Okay. Okay. All right. So, well, I think we have it all set up. It's all pretty much done, but this isn't quite like uniform to when I usually want to take a breaks, but I do usually like taking a break in between like character and world building and actual play itself, if that's okay with folks. Let's say good 10 minutes. Actually, wait, hold on. Yeah, 10 minutes. I should give us time for like at least an hour. an hour and a bit to like get something. And I have an idea for like an opening scene just to get everyone interact with each other. But if you all have any ideas on what kind of scene to open up with, feel free to shout it out. But yeah, let's take 10. Oh, BRB. I was hoping you have another cute hat on you, but apparently the weather's forbidding.
Oh no, I only have like that and a Mario hat, and the Mario hat doesn't allow me to have my headphones on.
Hmm.
But no, it's like 86 degrees outside, and that's a winter hat. I was sweating so bad.
Holy crap. 86 degrees. I don't even remember what that's like anymore.
For the first time, I hate you. Or
Only
I'm
for the
jealous.
Oh, okay.
You know, I unfortunately know what 86 degrees is. And I also unfortunately know what heat index is. And I really, really wish I had never learned what heat index is or lived in a part of the country where people talk about it. Should have just stayed in the desert.
Yeah, I have a friend from Phoenix, Arizona, who talks about like, if you sometimes in the sidewalks, if you have bad shoes, you're not walking fast enough, they melt.
It's true. It gets sticky.
Ugh. Yeah, I'll take my erratic North Atlantic weather any day. All right, cool. We're all back. We're all here. It's all dream together. So, like I said, anyone, a suggestion of where do you want to start out? All right, pocket there. Do you have
I'm here. Right now, my brain is feeling a little fried. So I am more than happy to take the lead if somebody, or to follow if somebody wants to take the lead, because I'm not coming up with anything off the top of my head at the moment.
Yeah.
I know you said you had a hard frame scene, but if you don't want to use that, I can come up with something. It's just I was sort of interested in seeing where you'd hard frame us.
I was just thinking of that. It wasn't so much a hard frame. It's more like I would just want a communal scene so we can all be kind of like in the same vicinity.
Okay, I can do that. Like maybe there's a
One of the cookout tents.
yeah. I was saying maybe this is an after party, like a rehydration, energizing thing, where like you go to the one of the
chill
tents,
out
like
tent.
they have food and beverages for people. Beverages that aren't laced with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. All right. Is that cool with everyone?
I didn't even think about growing peyote in the desert.
I didn't fully catch it because I was distracted, but I'm sure I'm fine with whatever you said.
Yeah. So yeah, after party was just food and some not drinks, but like it's like yeah. You said it was a tent, right? Like just
I was going off of Puckett's idea. It could be a tent. It could be like the water tarp where we collect like the dew and what minimal rain we get for water.
There's a long-standing tradition at raves of chill-out tents, which is where you go to decompress, rehydrate, get medical attention if you need it. If you've, get activated charcoal flush through your system if you've taken too much or drank too much. Maybe it's that kind of a spot, like a recovery tent, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's especially why Balor would be there, because he's like the psychic recovery man.
Yeah. So let's get a quick shot of where everyone is in this recovery tent, and it's fine as well if you think your character is not gonna be here, but if they are, and it'd be cool if they're not, but it'd be cool if they are. But like, yeah, what do we see of them? Like, say when the camera kind of is like taking in this like after party scene, it's probably this cool down tent. Also, what time of day? I'm kind of thinking maybe dusk, maybe
Ooh, early morning.
early
Like
morning.
almost coming up on dawn. Like,
Yeah.
partied all night, and like the sun, you can see like the kind of brightening of the sky in the east. The sun isn't quite up yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so since you already mentioned Baylor, what do we see of them?
Balor is as behind this table, and he's doling out like boiled water with like in soup bowls, and like it's sort of like a Mongolian buffet type thing where it's like he has the stock, and like you add bean sprouts, you add dried fruits, you add like you make your own soup, but he has like the plain mixture, and he's like making this symbol over the soup every time that people think means that it'll clean out their system, but like he's not actually activating the psychic maelstrom. He's just giving people a placebo effect with the soup.
Sash, where are you?
Well, since I know that Balor is going to be sitting in one place for a while, this is pretty much an ideal time to make some adjustments to the wheelchair and some minor repairs. Just kind of dial it in a little bit, just because it's like it can be difficult to get Balor in the chair for long periods of time to see how it's actually being used and the kind of positioning it needs. And since Balor's already in this spot, it's kind of an ideal moment for Sash to be working on kind of dialing it in and trying to make it a little bit more comfortable for Balor.
Always picked the wrong time to start drinking. Aadita, where? Yeah. Aadita, what do we see of you?
I think maybe I may not be attending. I think maybe I let my gang attend, and I'm kind of covering things while they're there.
Cool. It's like your second in command might be there, or just yeah. Okay. Yeah. Are you? Do you party?
I think not as often maybe as everyone else, but then when she does, she goes pretty hard.
So it's like a special event.
Mm-hmm.
When Aadita shows up, oh hell yeah, here we go. Yeah, and I think Blooming is a corner eating quite a number of. Okay, I don't know much about desert food, but what desert food would be like very dehydrating?
Salted but kept fish or meat.
Ooh, yeah. I think she's eating quite a bit of that, kind of fairly, somewhat with gusto, but yeah, she's getting thirsty, but the water is kind of near the soup, and she doesn't want to be near Balor at the moment, so she's just kind of in the corner, but very clearly, like her eyes kept darting towards where Balor and Sasha are just. All right, I have to move away there. When I move away there, I'll finally get something to drink. Finally, maybe. So if Sash, if you're working on Baylor's chair at the moment, what are you two talking about?
I'm not sure I'm actually talking. I may just be in the zone and like, I mean, the conversation might be limited on my end to things like, does that feel better? Like almost like going to the optometrist, which is better, A or B, 1 or 2? It's like elevating the ride a little bit on it, changing like armrest positioning, that sort of thing. It's besides, I also know Balor's busy, and if I'm focusing on getting this done, Balor's pretty important around here. I want to make sure they've got everything that they need to be as comfortable as they can.
Nice. Oh, we now have 2 ferrets.
Sorry about that. Internet hiccup.
Did you pick up what Sash was talking about?
No, I heard like Blooming is eating meat and doesn't want to see where Bay.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Sash. Would you? I
No
asked
worries.
if Sash and Baylor are talking about anything, and Sash says basically, no, they're being professional on their end.
And I mean, on Sash's end, it's basically like a visit to the optometrist. Like she's asking Baylor, which feels better, A or B, for like armrest positioning, etc. So it's she's really dialed in and focused on what she's doing. And about the only conversation on her side of things is just, does this feel better or does this feel better?
Yeah, and I think Baylor is makes a sigil over some soup, like, may it nourish you. The handrails have been a bit janky lately. The straps have started getting a bit too tight. Not sure if we can add some material or maybe reset the linchpins of them.
I can move the points of connection. Yeah, I can change where it attaches to the chair.
That would be very welcome. Thank you, Sash. And bless the soup. May it nourish you. As he hands it to someone else, and I think he looks over at Blooming, who's, if I got what you were saying, like sort of like bent over eating meat, just sort of putting in. It's like that one's going to end up in the heavy medical tent if she keeps that up. I think like I will use a I think it's a regular move of the Iris, but yeah, I think Blooming looks up and I stare into her eyes without blinking, and I'm looking at her as I bless the next person's soup.
I think is that a specific move?
It's a regular move. Look at someone's eyes without blinking.
Oh, okay. Jesus. Yeah, I think Blooming feels your gaze upon her, and like you can see her like shiver, and then she sees you looking, and then immediately she just starts kind of like wiping her hands on her suit and start poking around, and turns away from you and just pulls out her phone as if to like just okay, all right, okay, no, I can't be doing this. So yeah, she's turning her back towards you.
Should I pick up the digital realm a bit,
Um,
or just leave it, like get Brian in more?
yeah, because what she's going to do is she's going to start texting her wife that she left behind in the society. Because yeah, I think hold on. Yes. So yeah, I think yeah, she's just gonna start texting her. Her name is 17 Spire.
Okay, so I think like the like out here with the digital realm, like you need to it always works if you send a picture with your text. Otherwise, it's a bit janky sometimes.
Okay, I think
It doesn't have to be a picture of you, but
yeah, I think. Oh, I think what's gonna happen. What she takes a picture of is she turns around and just takes a quick picture of Baylor as they're staring, and sends a picture and a message to 17 Spire, just going, and the text message is Baylor up to their old tricks again.
and you see the three dots show up. They go down. Three dots show up again. goes down. And then finally the 3 dots go up for a long time. It's like, well, at least someone's gaze is upon you without me. Miss you, sweetie.
I think take another picture, and Blooming's gonna send a picture, take a selfie of herself with like stains on, around, I think barely brushed away, like stains of what she was eating, and the message is, "You sure about that?"
And I think the return message is, I miss a lot. You're obviously one of them. Take care of yourself. And I think, but like in the background of your selfie, there was a picture of Aadita, and it's like but like you get another message like, got to go real fast, BBS or BBL.
Aw. Yeah, I think. For some reason, I'm thinking Blooming's phone is like there was a retro fad maybe a couple of years ago, so she has a flip phone. Or they got one. They got the flip notes working. Well, barely. I don't know. I don't play varied scarcities. Things could happen to this phone. Uh, yeah, I think I turn around and what was it? Aadita there? Because I think Brian mentioned Aadita's not there, or maybe they just
Yeah,
wanted.
if Adita's not there, it's probably a member of the gang. I think like they saw someone of the gang. It's like, yeah, no, peace.
I think.
Probably Aadita's sibling.
Ooh.
Just that's we could actually decide who that is, I guess.
Yeah. What's their name?
I'd like to ask a question here.
Mhm.
As I'm working on Balor's wheelchair, I think it might be worthwhile for me to be treating Balor at this point, just because I'm so dialed in, more like to use one of my weak moves and treat Balor like a project as opposed to a person. Like this is a problem to be solved, and less about, hey, you're a person who's using this accessibility accommodation, and more like, this is an engineering issue, and I am focused on the math and the science of this, as opposed to the person who's actually in the chair.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh yeah. One more thing before I get into that. Something I forgot to shout out. Everyone should read out their lures so that everyone's aware of what they are, so we can play into them. Sorry about that. I remember that I meant to ask.
And then, a quick question: can you only gain 1 token per move with weak moves?
No, you can, but you can
Okay.
only gain 1 token, I think, per scene per weak move, something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
But my lore is when someone invites you to use your psychic gifts on them, they gain a token.
Sash, what's your lure?
When someone comes to you with something precious that needs fixing, they gain a token. So, I mean, I kind of feel like Balor's got a token from the lure because
You came to me. I didn't come to you. That's what I think. That's what you were saying. Like you came here to work on my wheelchair instead of me saying like I need you to work on it.
Because I knew that this is a place where you would be sitting in your chair for a long period of time, and
Yeah, but someone has to come to you. Yeah, so
okay.
Someone has to come to you.
Okay.
Aadita, what's your lure?
When someone relies on you to solve one of their biggest problems, they gain a token.
And the arrival's lure for blooming is when someone gives you an opportunity to prove yourself to the community, they gain a token. So yeah, this so yeah, you're totally treating Balor as a project at the moment. But yeah, who is this gang member of Aadita's that shows up in the background of Blooming selfie? This is their second in command, or even their sibling. Well, one of the other.
No, I think it's my sibling. It is my brother Pete.
What is Pete? What's their demeanor like? What are they doing? Hungry for blood, so I assume not a good.
Yeah. Other than hungry for blood, I mean, at a party, probably not so hungry for blood. I think that just means like when conflicts come up, he wants to go to the most extreme solution. He thinks holding back just causes more problems in the long run. But at the party, he's probably pretty friendly. I think because Aadita keeps keeps him in check. I think most people don't kind of see that side of him because he's mostly like pushing her, and since she's preventing him from acting out on that, he's probably pretty well liked, and he's probably a pretty friendly guy.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So I kind of turn around. I see Pete. Honestly, I see like between Pete and Balor, Blooming sees a lot of people she doesn't. If she'd met them outside of, she would try not to meet them outside of a party, but they're all here, and I think just to try and distract herself, I think she will try to. I think yeah, I'm not sure. I think 17 spires left at BBL, so to speak. Oh, go on. Sorry, I thought I heard something. I think she is just gonna sigh and I was gonna ask. I don't know which element would determine whether she feels thirsty or not because she's been eating all this salted fish. Probably. Hold on, let me check. No, I think she is just gonna sigh and like, well, if Balor's staring at me, I should go talk to them. I think I kind of march up.
I would like to use one of my weak moves almost immediately on Blooming.
Okay.
I'm going to ask, I guess you, Leandro, or Blooming, what makes me vulnerable in this moment?
What makes you vulnerable? Beyond kind of like that privileged impulse of like, oh, you're in a wheelchair, that must mean you're vulnerable. Beyond that, because I definitely see Blooming as someone who's not unpacked much of her privilege. What makes you vulnerable in this situation?
You're kind of stuck there at the moment because Sash is working on your wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there also is the Arrival's weak move of opening yourself up to the psychic maelstrom. Maybe, well, yeah, I think just being trapped there is a good enough answer for now.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I kind of come up and just very like cautiously ask, what's in the soup?
The soup starts out with purified water. And today we are using a bit of chicken bone stock and chicken feet stock. You can flavor it with whatever is around on the table, what's ever left. Pete took a bit of the chicken meat, so if you want a vegetarian soup, that's more applicable.
Amazing. I think most of that flew over her head.
And he's like pouring out the water. It's like, do you want it blessed?
Define blessed. Are you gonna do your thing?
He rolls his eyes like, may this nourish you. Here you go.
Yeah, I think she's cautious. She's cautious, but she's gonna take it. And I do want to like. Hold on, let me check because this character keeper might have some differences. Let me check. Yeah, accidentally open her brain to the world's psychic maelstrom. Sure, why not? I think just it's less like her being relaxed and more like her being too cautious. She's like a live wire of like nervousness, and I'm going to give away psychic maelstrom. Who wants to pick that up? See what happens.
I have an idea with my unearthing, if you're fine with that. Not me. I think it's like I'm not activating it, but like I think our hands touch. There's like this spark, and like and you feel like the pains of like it. I don't know if you've ever had gout or just joint pain, but you feel Balor's weight from the void, and it feels like there is. If you don't know what gout feels like, just sort of imagine extreme nerve pain. Like your nerves feel like your leg nerves feel like they've been put in molten lead. And like I think for you feel the psychic maelstrom like rubbing up against you like someone in a crowded train or bus, just that uncomfortable, slimy, sweaty rubbing, and you can feel a grin in your head, not see it but feel it. But then you come back and the heat is only from the soup.
Yeah, I think. Oh God, gotta be a jerk. Yeah. So when that kind of hits, yeah, don't you smile at me. I'll have to see you tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. So when that kind of happens, she kind of stiffens and just her breath hitches and says, "Well, uh, I'll remember that. The blessing. I mean, just gonna takes the soup.
It's simple enough. I think you should remember it.
Good time to ask if Baylor feels okay with Lumen being there right now.
Yeah, is he? Can I tell? Is Baylor okay with me being here right now?
Oh. I think Balor sees you as an outsider. It's okay, but he doesn't want it to be permanent.
And then did that glimpse of Baylor's pain mean that Baylor temporarily lost control of psychic abilities, or was that
I don't
kind
think
of targeted?
I don't think it's time for that. I think that was just the psychic maelstrom
Okay.
reaching out from like the closest antenna it had was Balor, so that's why Blooming felt his pain.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think Blooming just gives you a strange smile, then turns away, then turns back, nods to Sash, and then turns away again, kind of like fast walking back to her corner.
And Balor is like looks at all the other ingredients. Like you've walked away with basically just plain soup, and he looks at all the ingredients that you didn't touch. It's like that girl's gonna get herself killed real quick if no one's watching her.
So Baylor,
Mm-hmm.
I've adjusted the points of attachment for the belt, but I just want you to know until I can actually get back to my shop, this is a kludge. This is not going. It's not particularly sturdy. Might break, but it should be more comfortable for the next day or two until we can get it into my shop. But I just want you to know that this is not a fix. This is kind of chewing gum and baling wire type stuff here. So it's it's a little, I wouldn't try to go off-roading or anything like that.
My parkour days are long behind me, Sash.
I know. I'm just saying it's like you hit a rock, you might tumble. but it'll be more comfortable for you for now. But we need to get your turn to my shop in the next day or so I can actually fix it properly and get it done correctly.
I understand. And
All
let
right.
me check my moves real quick.
And I'm going to take my token for having tinkered with an object and left it volatile or broken.
Oh, you jerk! I love it. And I think
Hey, it's just a little volatile.
I
mean,
know.
it's not broken, but
I want to rest my hand on Sash's head and use my regular move to open my brain to the world's psychic maelstrom.
Ooh. Okay. Let me check on all that. So you're just generally opening it up?
I think I'm sort of seeing like how Sash feels beyond the professionalism.
Okay. So you are aiming this kind of opening up just at Sash, right? Okay. Sash, you've not really displayed kind of like how you're feeling. How are you feeling right now?
I'm worried and trying to distract myself by fixing things and just kind of being fidgety and trying to think of a way to be useful because it allows me to not deal with things that are troubling me.
Yeah, and I think because you've recently, you know, that effect, yes, of Baylor, what you bleeding kind of yourself into blooming, B names. I think this is you opening yourself up to be bled upon by what Sash is feeling. I think you feel that fidgetiness, that need to like, yeah, fix things. But how does that feel in your body that can't do as much as it could?
This feels like phantom restless leg syndrome. Like I need to get up and run, but I can't.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of like, I mean, you're getting what you wanted. You want to like kind of feel what Sash is feeling through the professionalism, but it's not discerning a specific thought. It's just their emotional state, and it's kind of blending into yours as well.
Mhm. And I think he looks over at Pete, who's as I stated before, like took a lot of the chicken meat. It's like, Pete, come here.
Wants to pick up Pete right now. Brian, you want to pick up Pete?
I'm just going to talk to him for like one line if anyone wants to.
Yeah, I can play Pete. So,
You need to take over doling out the soup. I need to go check on your sister.
I think she can take care of herself, but all right.
I'm not checking in on her. You know what? You're right. I'm just going to go see how she's doing. Maybe talk to her a bit. And he'll roll away.
All right. So yeah, obviously you don't have to put. You're not gonna play Pete with your if you talk to him. Wait, we're just picking it up. Yeah. So where is Aadita? What is she doing at this moment?
Um, I think there are probably a couple like watch posts. You know, like this place is kind of secluded. There's only a few kind of entrances, so she's probably like making the rounds to each of them. There's maybe somebody there, and yeah, she's just like riding her bike from one to the other to make sure everything's going okay.
Where does Baylor catch up with you?
So yeah, if there's probably like a route that you would know that you could just wait and she'll be along before too long.
Yeah, and there's probably like, is there like a gang symbol or gang sign, like hand sign that I would know, like sort of means like stop, or even if it is just like, or should I just like wave at you for your attention?
Yeah, if you just wave her over, she'll.
Yeah, so it looks like he's adjusting himself in his chair a lot. There's some creaks, there's some groans, and he's waving you over.
So sun's not totally up yet. You leave the party early?
I've done my duty. I wasn't asked to indulge in the partying. I cleaned up after it like usual.
So did you need something?
Yes, I need to lend you something while I wait for this job to get fully completed. And he'll reach at his wheel, and he has this really ornate and heavy chain attached to like the hubcap of his wheels. And he knows you're good with chains, so it's like, just protect this for me while it's putting the chair off balance while I have it at the moment. I need to get it completely fixed, but I wouldn't trust this chain in anyone else's hands but yours. And I'm using my weak move to lend you my signature weapon.
Um, okay, so this is part of how the chair operates. This is definitely a weapon.
Yeah, this is like hidden in like a hubcap on the chair.
Right.
It looks like it's a part of the decoration, but he can unfurl it, and then it's nice to have a weapon with reach when you can't move as well.
Good time to look at your weak moves list and see if you can apply any of them.
That's what I'm doing. But
I mean, this certainly seems like second guessing a motive. Why is he doing it?
I think I would be asking Balor who they think I can't trust.
And he, so Aadita asks him that, however, and or like how, like, did she say like
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm wondering how that would come up. I think it would be because you were at the party, so you had a chance to kind of observe everyone, which is
my shtick.
it's kind of, yeah. I think that is one of your basic moves, right? Is quietly gather clues or information. Yeah, so that makes sense that she would look to you for that. Yeah, like so you saw everyone at the party. Was anybody I think she was because my big flaw is that the enclave is not entirely on board with our vision. I think that's what she would be fishing for information about. So it's like, was anybody complaining about the way we've been handling things? I've heard some people are unhappy.
And I think I'll make up an NPC if that's fine. And he grimaces and it's like, it's Lele. They've been thinking they can do this bicycle and chain thing better than you can. They think you don't watch very well. They really. Oh, what's your second in command's name?
Let's pick a name off of the tiger. Domino.
Lele's been sneaking out of Domino's place after the mornings without parties. I think they might have a thing going.
Good to know.
Not really. Trust me.
Mm.
You might need that sooner than I would like. He looks at his chain. At least it's not rusted like yours.
Well, I'll take good care of it.
He smiles, and I think I think Aadita is one of the few people who actually gets Balor to smile more often than not. And it's actually sort of like warm and uncle-like. It's like, you do good. You, like those old heroes in the comic books, you do good, not well. And then nothing. You finished with your route. There's still some soup and food left. I mean, that Blooming's been downing the squid jerky, but
Yeah, I could probably swing by.
and I think he turns around he presses this little button on there that actually extends the handles on his wheelchair. Give us a push.
Yeah, okay. And she probably has to ditch the bike.
Yeah, I like the idea. Like she's walking the bike with one hand and pushing him with another,
Okay.
or he's like holding the bike by the side as she's pushing him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Push forward the bike for you to hold while she pushes.
Okay. We have like 20 or so minutes. I want to ask, like, it's going to be Sash. If you have a scene you want to see, or want to see if there's a scene or a person you want to interact with.
I think at this point, Sash is just heading back to the workshop. She has a cot in back. Well, something like a bedroll, not necessarily a cot, kind of sleeping rough. But the party's over. She's done what she's fixed what she can fix. And I think at this point, she's probably just heading back there to try to sleep, even though the ghost of her great-grandmother seems to inhabit the workshop and criticize her for every decision she makes and everything she does.
Aw. Is it okay, like, before you get to your workshop, Blooming catches up with you?
Sure.
Yeah, and I think Blooming running up, and you kind of hear her shout.
She doesn't have to run that hard. I don't move that fast.
Yeah, yeah. But that's Blooming for you, and then she's just like, "Hey, Doc, are you? Can I ask? Are you busy?"
Not at the moment. What's going on? What can I help you with?
Yeah, you're real smart, right, Doc? Doc Sash, or is it just Sash? Sorry,
Just
should be assuming time.
just Sash, and I think everybody who's around here is smart at something or other. So it depends on what you need, but maybe it's something that I'm smart about.
Okay, Sash, are you smart about all this psychic stuff?
Maybe a little bit, but there's other people who are smarter. Baylor's much better with it than I am. I kind of fix things.
Yeah, but well, the thing is, Sash, there was some stuff happening there, the tent, and I was just wondering if, like, if you know of a way to like, and she's kind of pointing to her head, way to like shut off being affected by that sort of thing, because it's weird and it's kind of annoying.
Hey, you want to shut it off?
Well, at least so that I don't have to feel it, because it just happens, and it's, again, I don't know. You feel that, right? When suddenly you're feeling things that might be coming from another person, and you don't know if like you felt that or they felt that, and it's all just like a wave hitting you. It's doesn't feel right. I mean, you know that, right, Sash?
Oh, honey, that's just called life. I mean, it's a little more on the surface now, but it's always been like that. I mean, if you looked at before this happened, if you looked at somebody, haven't you ever had a situation where haven't you ever been in a situation where you've looked at somebody and you knew how they were feeling without knowing? Now it's you feel it a little bit more strongly.
I don't know about you, Doc, but I don't think. Sorry, Sash, but I don't think I've ever looked at anyone and be sure of what they're feeling.
What a sad life you've led.
What? I think at that, he just kind of like looks quite shocked and just shakes her head. Like, okay, all right, no, I get it. I get it.
Listen, there's one thing I'm aware of that can help a little bit, and it's one of the reasons why we have these parties. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of people were out of their skulls tonight. They were drunk, they were high, they had been taking anything they could find to get their hands on. I mean, some were on peyote. You know, some of them had managed to brew up some home cooked mescaline. There's the reason people do that is because intoxication is one of the things that dulls your senses to the maelstrom. It can also make you more open to it and more susceptible to it. But generally speaking, it kind of mutes it for a little bit. It kind of turns the volume on it down. So there's a little bit of a. It's not just that we're celebrating. It's not just that we're engaging in some kind of ritualistic observance, or that somebody's invited you into their house because they want you to feel welcome. It's so we don't have to deal for a little bit. But we can't do it all the time. So it's like a vacation. It's we need to have clear heads. We need to be able to function and focus. So we can't do this every day. We can't do it every night. This is why we set up these periods, why we set guards, and why people engage in these rituals. Because that way we're all kind of shutting it down together. So nobody's necessarily suffer. I mean, there have to be some people who suffer well to protect the people who get to kind of turn their brains off for a little bit. But that's part of being in this community. Sometimes you suffer for the greater good.
I guess that kind of makes sense. I'm gonna spend a token. I'm going to ask Sash, what does your character wish I would do next?
I wish you would start acting more like a member of the community who's trying to find a place here than someone who feels like an outsider trying to gain access for their own selfish motives.
Yeah, I think Booming kind of does sigh and says, "Yeah, I guess I guess I'm still just a tourist around here.
You don't have to be. There are things you can do.
What sort of things?
Well, for one, you can stop asking what we can do for you. You can start asking, what can you do for us? What is something that you can do that no one here can do or can do as well? What can you add to our community? What can you bring to it that you excel at? What gap can you fill? What skills do you have that we need?
Blooming kind of like. While you're saying that, Blooming kind of like trying to figure out what the answer is, and she's not gonna say it, but she can't think of anything, and she kind of looks embarrassing at her feet, and just like, do you mind if I get back to you on that? Because
It takes a while to think of those things, doesn't it?
yeah, and honestly, all I've been doing is kind of running, thinking about those sort of things. You need to stop and think about them, right?
What are you running from, Blooming? Let me rephrase that. What have you lost forever? What are you running from that you know you can't get back?
I think. Also, take a token. I think you played into Blooming's lure. Definitely. I think kind of like Blooming kind of is looking past you. Like her, and she's deep in thought, and just kind of says, "I." Well, if I had to scale it all up, honestly, compared to everyone else here, I don't think I've lost as much as they have. Maybe,
It's not a competition, child.
But like, honestly, Sash, if I chose to walk out of here and go back to where I was, I could. Like, it'd be easy. Unlike everyone else here, I could just walk those paths and just leave. It would be very easy for me, but
Yes, but would you be welcomed back?
I would like to pick up the digital realm with this and say you get a text, Blooming.
yeah. Sorry, what did Sash say again? What was that?
I said, but would you be welcomed back?
Yeah, I think you hear the text, and it's like it's her. Yeah, the text, and she pulls out her phone. What's the text that she gets?
I think it says something about like what are party crashers? And I will be picking up my other threat, as there is a loud amount of noise coming towards the enclave from the outlying gangs.
Yeah, I think as she sees the text and the noise kind of comes around, it's like, well, I hope. No, that's what she says. I think she was gonna say something, I think, but she's distracted by that noise. And I think, yeah, Sasha hear that noise as well. Is there like a specific sort of like yelling, or is it just generic noise?
I think it sounds like the kind of it's more human noises, but like whooping, hollering, hungry noises.
Drum beats, maybe?
Ooh, maybe there's like some kind of music that we don't play at our parties that is like loudly playing from like a car's updated or upgraded speaker system.
So we'd hear motors as well.
At least one motor, if not. I think just one motor. I don't know how many cars there are, but like they're at least bringing some. Maybe they're coming. It sounds like they're coming for tribute because they do like home cooked meals, and we do provide them after parties.
Yeah, I think at that when I see text messages, I just look Sash like, you expect any party crashers anytime soon?
No, we weren't. Listen. There's a place here for you if you want it, but we don't have time to talk about that right now. We need to go deal with what's coming.
Okay.
But the other thing I want you to understand, everyone gets the burdens they can carry. Somebody once told me that you get all the pain you can handle, and that the pain that you get may seem trivial compared to someone else's, but emotionally to you, it may be the same. So it's not about who has it worse. It's just about what you can bear and the burdens you can shoulder. And I would like to go ahead and spend a token to ease Blooming's pain.
Aw. Yeah, I think that advice does get her. And when she kind of looks at you, it's not like she's still not unsure about what she is, but I think you gave her a path. And she nods and says, "Thanks, Ash. I think folks are right. You are really smart."
Yeah, living with pain will do that to you. Now let's go find out what the hell this noise is.
Okay. And I think, we will end on that cliffhanger for this session, since we are just about time. I think, as always, the Gauntlet provides with great, fantastic role players. You all been fab. Thanks very much. Y'all been fab. I'm gonna stop this broadcast and we'll just have a quick debrief, talk about cool things. Let's see all YouTube. Hopefully we'll survive this, gang. No, don't you shake your head. No, shut up. I'll stop this broadcast now. Yeah, don't. Whatever.